Wow, it has been a hot minute since I've made a transformer. Hello and welcome, I am that one strange guy. Today I have LEGO Transformers Generation 1 Soundwave. Now this guy being a version 2, I wanted to improve on as many things from the original that I could. However, I'm still pretty happy with the cassette mode of my original Soundwave. The very first thing I wanted to change was the size. I'm kind of fed up of making smaller Transformers because they're just not as fun and interesting. Especially when you compare something like Soundwave here to Lockdown, it's just not as fun. But if you've been watching the channel for a while now, you'll know this is because of my lack of parts. In the last 3 years, I've moved house about 4 times, or have been constantly in between houses, and this has resulted in me losing lots of LEGO. This has also resulted in my last few Transformers being completely prototype colours. I really wanted Soundwave here to be as consistent as I could possibly get it, because I'm sick of not being able to provide correctly coloured Transformers for the people watching these videos. I would also like to thank everyone watching, and everyone subscribed to this channel for nearly 700 subscribers. In fact, in the last month, I've hit 700 subscribers about 3 different times, and each time my subscriber count goes down just slightly. This is completely understandable, as I barely upload anymore. Just spinning Soundwave round, we can see that the second you turn the cassette mode, the illusion is broken, as it is pretty much with every single Soundwave. From the back, Soundwave doesn't look horrendous. I've made versions of Soundwave in the past that have looked a lot worse than this guy. First of all, I'm very happy that at least the bottom is completely square. There is a 1 stud gap here, but that doesn't bother me too much. And from the back, unlike my previous version of Soundwave, you can't see his head at all. That was one of the first things I wanted to improve upon with this version of Soundwave, because going back and watching the old video, it's incredibly annoying. There is one final thing I want to talk about with Soundwave before we get into some size comparisons and get into the transformation. The first big issue is that my version of Laserbeak I've made for this guy doesn't actually fit inside the cassette. At least he doesn't in this mode. As you can see, when the cassette door opens, Soundwave's head is right there, which makes it impossible for Laserbeak to fit in. This is an unfortunate product of the transformation, but it is not the end of the world. In the past, I've made a version of Soundwave that doesn't even have an opening door, so I think this is a big improvement. For size comparisons with Soundwave, here is a Studio Series Bumblebee, an SH figure art Spider-Man, and the only minifigure that I could actually find.
Laserbeak, Autobot alert. Soundwave superior, Autobots inferior.
Straight off the bat, the guy's got bright blue hands. But this is just due to the fact that I don't have the colours. This is obviously very inaccurate. I'm also not sure if the dark blue headlight bricks do exist, If they don't, they can be substituted for black headlight bricks. The other pretty jarring issue is just the fact that his face is white. I do not have the parts to build his face in the correct colour. Probably the biggest issue with my version is that the cassette drawer doesn't have the 1 4th final line sort of completing the rectangle in the centre of his chest. As you can see, the bottom here, that entire drawer is connected by a little bar. Unfortunately, this does result in a slightly unfinished looking cassette. And I think it could be worse, but it is quite jarring, especially with the yellow clip underneath it, which makes it look very half-arsed. Arguably, Soundwave's biggest feature is his cassette comms. This little guy here is Laserbeak. Now, I guess you could say from this angle, it kind of looks like a cassette. Kind of. Because from the front, as you can see, this is the most pathetic excuse for a cassette ever. This is not the best version of Laserbeak I've ever made, but at the end of the day, it's just Laserbeak. It's not that big of a deal. Fold out the head, flip him upside down, and move forward the guns, like so. And just like that, you have a Laserbeak. If you move Laserbeak's guns out of the way, this leaves room for him to perch on Soundwave's shoulder. Due to the nature of Laserbeak and how he's built, and also how the forearms on Soundwave here are built, there's no way for him to plug into the forearms, which obviously leaves a lot to be desired with this pose. However, you can balance him on there and get a similar effect. Unfortunately, I did not build this guy in stud.io, so I have no way of comparing him to my Scourge, Bumblebee and Optimus Prime, as I've done in the last previous videos, but for now, I can compare him with a minifigure, the best masterpiece Bumblebee, and a Spider-Man. So that is everything for my Generation 1 Soundwave version 2. Overall, a massive improvement over V1. I could not be happier with him. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and if you have, let me know what you think of this guy in the comments below. What could I have done better, and what should I build for the future? I do have another build plan that I plan to start working on relatively soon, but that is only for an Instagram challenge hosted by Nick Bricks. Whether that gets turned into a video or not, really just depends on whether I can be bothered. Anyway, once again, thank you for watching, and goodbye.